Welcome everybody, Steve here. Today we are on Project Gray and we are actually going to throw some primer down now. Yesterday we got done with all the sanding of the glaze putty and she looks pretty good. So anytime that you're spraying anything through a gun, that's a good thing because that means you're progressing. So first thing we're going to do is I blew everything off before I got the camera out. And I'll have to give it another little shot before I prime, but we're going to hit it with some epoxy primer first, and then a couple coats of high build. And then we can start sanding tomorrow. Looking forward to it. Well, it's the next morning, and it's time to sand some primer. It's an exciting day. One of my favorite things. I don't know why. It's like drywall. I love sanding drywall. You know, I guess it's just because you can just turn the mind right down to, you know, like a 2 or something like that. So anyway, we're going to put the guide coat on, and then we're going to hit it with 150 grit. I don't want to go any finer than that. See, the finer you go, then what you can actually start to get it to wave a little bit. Because as soon as you stop, as soon as you hit your high point and you stop, you don't want to go any further because then you're going below that high spot. And we're putting 2 more coats of primer on top of this, so 150 grit scratches, that's not an issue. Sanding primer is just, you know, takes just a nice light touch. It does make a difference though if you let this set up for 2 weeks versus 1 day. Quite a big difference. I like to finish it with a scuff cloth. Make sure that you got all the little spots. And then I'm going to blow it off and circle wherever I got a, you know, a pinhole. And I'm going to repair all those before I prime again. I'm going to do it last, but I've always preferred doing it now. Well, I'm on the inside of the hood now, and what I'm doing with it is I've got a fairly stiff pad here, and I got a softer pad. And I'm just stroking it with a little bit of 150, just lightly. And you can straighten everything out. I got this side kind of done. But what you can do is it just straightens everything out. If you can go from coarse to fine, your bodywork will look better, your finish will look better than if you just go to fine. And it's faster. If I was to go to 320 and start scrubbing on here, you know, I'm well into happy hour before I'm done, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm gonna go with 150. I'm gonna put on some more guide coat, and then I'll go to 220, and then I'm gonna leave it because I wanna spray the outside one more time, and I don't really care if there's overspray, and then I'll finish it with 320 and then go to paint. Sounds like a plan. This area in here, where it's nice and flat, where I didn't do anything, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to hit that with my sander with 320. Now it's time to hit her with the 220. And then we're going to stop. And then we'll flip it over and do the top side. I want to do the inside simply because if I run into an issue and you know I have to fix it and add a little bit more primer, then I can. I don't really want to do it when the day that I want to paint. So if there's any issues, I can deal with them now, because when I put the hood down to sand the top, I don't want to move it again. Well, finally got on top of the hood. I got the underneath done. I did the 220 and I filled all the little pinholes, that you're gonna get. So now it's just a matter of sanding this down with 150 grit and a couple more coats of primer. I just got started, so I got a long ways to go. I got half the hood done and it looks really, really good. So I'm happy. And so now I got the other half to do. And really, sanding your primer, you just look for your little zone, and you just have to move your arm and fire a couple brain cells, and you can get her done. But you got to fire the right brain cells. Use the right half of your brain, I think. The artistic side. It's one of those things that is just, you gotta take your time, go nice and slow, not too heavy on your block. I know some guys will probably use a mechanical sander or something on this, or pneumatic, and I guess if it's just a paint job you can go ahead, but if you want it good, you gotta block it. So we'll just keep on sanding, and pretty soon it'll be done. Hood looks great, but still there's the odd little pinhole we gotta fix. And I don't know what it is. It doesn't matter how hard you try, there always seems to be a pinhole. So we'll get those fixed up. Not too many, just enough to annoy you. Now what I've done is I've gone around and I've circled them to make sure that I don't miss them. It's always better to fix them when you can before you paint or before your final primer. You don't want to fix it just before you paint, but sometimes you have to. That's not too bad. Couple up here. The glaze putty's all dry now, so time to sand her out. Now all I'm using here is just my light block with some 150 grit, and just take your time, go light. You don't want to affect the areas in and around. Now I like this red glaze putty. Some people, you know, like they'll say, oh, it lifts and this and that. All we're doing is filling pinholes here. We're not straightening out bodywork. So I've never had an issue with it. So, and it sands so nice and easy. If I was to use a 2-part, you know, then there's chances, you know, I'm going to be sanding down into here and making things a little bit more crooked. So, for doing pinholes, I'm happy with this stuff. So I'm using a U-Pull high build primer, just in case you were wondering, and it's 4:1. So we'll just use our cup. Actually pretty good. Let's see where we're at, 4 or 5, a little bit more. And we're going to thin this out a little bit more than what I do on the first coats, because we're just doing a final. The hood looks great. The camera kind of cut out on me. I'm going to have to reformat the chip or something. But I was just about to say that I thin this out a little bit more because we don't have to put a real big build coat on for the final. And it'll lay down a little bit flatter and just be better. Time to start sanding underneath the hood. Now, that's a big job. Nobody likes doing this kind of stuff. But you just gotta take your time, be thorough. You know, you don't want to put all that time in and miss a spot and then you just look at it and go like, ah. So anyway, I'm gonna take my time, sand it with 320. Now, remember, we've sanded underneath here already with up to 220. So 320 on this area is gonna go pretty quick. Going to use the orbital on this, on the flat, cutter by hand on all the rest. Now I'm going to paint this little spot up here as well. It just makes it a little nicer. You get a couple extra coats of paint up here, you know, to prevent any rock chips later on down the road. So, might as well get started. Now, whenever I'm using the scuff cloth, I got to get into these little areas here. I use a little plastic bar. Don't be using your screwdriver or anything like that. That way you can get into all the little edges. tape up my edges here. Just so that, because I just really don't like sanding overspray. It's not that much fun. So we'll just taper up. Well, sorry, but I gotta put you away. It's gonna be too much overspray in here, and I can't leave the door open, so I'll show you when we get done though. All right, that's the sealer. And that's what it looks like with the clear coat. Looks really good. Very, very cold day today, so this is the max. So gonna take a couple days off, let everything set up, and then we can start putting it together. All right. Well, thanks for watching this episode, and stay tuned. Lots more to come. Thanks.